And what about your work with young people in France, Frank?
That started when I was in St Albans. I was a lecturer. I got a job at the College of Building there in 1974. And one evening, I was having a drink with some colleagues from my department, and as I was introduced to Colette Connor, actually, who became for a while my girlfriend. And she introduced me then to her best friend, who was Marité Epal, a French assistante who was living in St Albans. And they were in an evening class together. And Marité introduced me in turn, because she knew I could speak French, to Vi Howe, who was the Hertfordshire County Council advisor for languages. And I was invited to become an animateur. Vi Howe organised what she called these Anglo-French colonies, where teenage Hertfordshire children went over and met a similar size group, say 30 French children, and we did an Anglo-French stage where we worked in English and we worked in French, and the children did activities together. So it was a very French concept, and I enjoyed it immensely. I did it every sometime. I remember going skiing in the foothills of the Alps one winter, the Jura. I remember working at Isle-Adam, which was, I think it was Pompidou's stomping ground where he was a deputy for, with his children. I remember then, of course, I worked in the Pyrenees. Before that, I worked, after several years of doing this, about 2 or 3 years, I went to France to train Anglo-French youth leaders, and that's how I met my wife. That was in northern France, in Normandy, one Easter, and we trained them how to be youth. It was the French had this wonderful system which I really admired. They've got what they called éducation active, active education, where people learnt by doing, not by being told. So it was active education. And this particular stage, the English students who were older, like 18 to 21, found it really hard when they were told on the second day, you design the syllabus of what you need to learn. They went to pieces. The French kids were quite happy with this. Somehow they knew about it. And I spent a lot of time supporting the English contingent, acting as their scribe, taking notes for all their anger and frustration. We've come on a course we want to be taught. And in the end, they did design a syllabus, what they felt would be useful for them, working in the summer with children in France. And then that summer, I noticed one of the girls was very good at French, was very interesting, and she was Jewish, and that was my present wife, as it were. So when we got back to England, because I had access to the records, I knew her birthday was a week or two later, and I had her address. So probably it's highly unethical, but I had her address and date of birth. I sent her a birthday card, and we met. In fact, soon after that, we both worked on a stage up in the Pyrenees. That was an amazing experience of young English people from Hertfordshire. It was very challenging at times. I remember one girl, they carried heavy rucksacks. One girl, it was so hot and she was so tired, she just keeled over, she fainted. Or we went on, I'd never done mountaineering, we did we had a good guide. It was a wonderful experience, and working with these young people, they learnt a lot with each other, not just learning French, but we saw things up in the Pyrenees where people baked bread in ovens. We got water from the well in the village. I loved it. And I carried on doing holidays in France for quite a while. And then eventually, of course, I bought my own cottage in France. And we recreated some of those activities with our own children.